Good morning, everyone. It's Rita Smith, the #1 food fairy, coming to you this morning in a little bit of distress because I woke up with a cough and a sore throat. And I have a major media announcement tomorrow. I've been working on it for 4 months. I have to leave home at 4 a.m. tomorrow to make this event happen at Toronto City Hall. And here I am coughing and with a sore throat. Life is unfair. But I realized the reason I haven't had a cold in 5 years, honestly, I do believe, and you can argue, but I believe, is because every fall for the last 5 years, I have made 50 clove garlic soup. If you've not seen the recipe online or had anybody give it to you, it's just what it sounds like. It's like eating a bowl of garlic. You won't get a lot of hugs or kisses, but every time I felt a tickle in my throat or I woke up with a cough, and I had a bowl of this soup or a couple bowls of this soup, it chased the cold away. And I stand on my feet and talk a lot, hours at a time sometimes. And what a blessing for 4 or 5 years never to have a cold. So I don't like the idea of having a cold now. I'm going to try to chase it away as I have successfully done in the past with 50 clove garlic soup. Okay, so the garlic in the soup, like, honest to gosh, if you can get real heritage bulbs of garlic, like sharp, fresh garlic at a farmer's market or from someone who grows it, or I get it at Price's Country Market, you could use 10 or 15 of these, no problem. Smash them up, grind them, do whatever you do, and you're gonna fry them in the pan. I only have one of these and I don't have time to go shopping. So I'm gonna use, as I have used in the past for this soup, durely chopped garlic. It's fine, it's milder, doesn't have that same sharp bite, but maybe this one will cover that off. If I had more of these, I'd use more of these. I'm gonna put in what I hope will be the equivalent of 50 cloves of garlic. That's 50, not 15, 50 cloves of garlic, okay? You start the process off by frying an onion. So I'm gonna fry an onion in my cast iron Dutch oven. That way I can fry the food and simmer the soup in the same pan. I don't have to switch anything. I can actually fry in my cast iron Dutch oven. So I'm gonna fry the onion. I'm gonna add the garlic. I'm gonna add some thyme from my garden. Thyme is the only herb called for in the recipe for 50 clove garlic soup. If you don't like thyme, you don't have to put it in. I think the soup would work without it, but I'm gonna put in fresh thyme, and I will probably also put in a little bit of dried thyme from the grocery store. If you don't have fresh thyme, use dried thyme. It's fine. It's fine. It'll turn out exactly the same. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm gonna have some chicken broth at the side. I'm gonna add it just enough to thin the pot so that you can eat it with a spoon, as opposed to having to, pick up garlic and onion with a fork. It should be a soup, not a meal of garlic. But you don't want to make it liquidy so it's floating in gallons of broth. Just enough broth to make it a soup. I might not even use all of this. There's 6 cups here. Now, once you've fried the onion, fried the garlic, put in the thyme, salt, pepper, added enough broth to make it soup-like, it's essentially done, and you could put it in Ziploc bags and freeze it at that point. The original recipe that I read called for sour cream. Like, when you served it, you would put in a spoon of sour cream and, kind of make the soup a little bit creamier, maybe a bit more comforting, and then eat it that way. I did that the first time. It wasn't my favorite. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. You could use sour cream. You know what I find is better? Campbell's cream and mushroom soup. So when I'm finished with the garlic, onion, thyme portion of the cooking here, I'm gonna just dump in a can of Campbell's cream and mushroom soup. I'm not gonna add any more broth or anything. I'm just gonna kind of thicken what's in the pot and add more flavor and add more creamy comfortingness from the Campbell's cream of mushroom soup. And then what results from that food effort, I'm gonna portion it in Ziploc bags, maybe a cup or a cup and a half each, and freeze them. And at any time in the winter when I feel a tickle in my throat, or I feel a cough coming on, or I wake up with a headache and a sore throat, you know how those days you go, oh no, not today, not today. I just warm up and eat some of this, And I've been cold free for almost 5 years. Jennifer Bell will vouch for this. Jennifer watched me stand every Monday night and talk for 4 hours. Every Monday night for 4 years. I was never sick. And the reason why, I believe, is because every time I felt something coming on, I quickly thawed a cup of this or a few packages of this, and I would have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. On a night when I had to teach and drive and stand and talk for 4 hours, I could make it through the day and the night, come home, have another bowl of soup, go to sleep, and I could chase the cold away. So I know there are some flus that hit you, they drop you like a ton of bricks, and that's a different thing. That's a different thing. I'm not saying that this cures the flu. Get your flu shot. I get my flu shot every year too. This just seems to really help when my throat and my cough or my lungs or something is bothering me, and I can make it go away. I think it's magical, and it tastes great. I love garlic. Lydia D. Francesco, here's a garlic recipe for you. It doesn't call for 1 clove of garlic. It's a 50 clove recipe, and so then a real Italian would of course have to add 100 cloves because they're Italian, and you have to double the garlic and everything. But let me get the pan set up and I'll show you how I do everything else. And here's 50 clove garlic soup. If it even gives you one good work week when you might not have had one good work week, it's still worth the effort. Okay, I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I am frying in my cast iron Dutch oven. This is 1 whole onion, and since I had a half of an onion in the fridge that I want to use up, this is 1.5 pretty big Spanish onions. Okay, I'm going to cook those down quite a bit before I add the garlic. So we're going to give those, I don't know, I'm going to say 5 minutes. I'll be back. Okay, the onions are cheerfully frying away, and I'm going to add the fresh chopped garlic. I wish I had more. If I didn't have to get ready for an event tomorrow, I would run out and buy more, but nope. The whole point is I need my voice for this event. So we're going to let that garlic fry with the onions, and I'll come back in a minute with the jarred garlic. So now we're at the stove. The onions and the fresh garlic are cooking away. I had to run off to take a work call, and things got a bit browner than I normally would want them to get, but they're not ruined in any way. They're just caramelized. Actually, it smells really good. I added a bit of chicken broth to prevent them from, sticking like barnacles to the cast iron pan. So they're all cooking away great, and I'm gonna put now the entire jar of dirty chopped garlic, which is packed in oil, into the pan. So the oil will actually help with the frying action. And I'm gonna put in, if I had time to go get fresh garlic, I would, but I don't, and I need this now. My throat needs it now. So I'm gonna just toss it all in here. Oh wow, look at that. It's so much less work than chopping garlic. I'll rinse the jug out with a little bit of chicken broth. Tiny bit. Okay. You don't want to leave any garlic in there when we need 50 cloves of garlic in the soup. Okay, so we have about as much garlic and onion in this pan as it's legal to have, and we're gonna let it more or less fry away. It's not sizzling now, but it will be momentarily. So that is 1.5 onions, let's say 50 cloves of garlic, some chicken broth, which rescued us from burning the onion and the garlic because I ran to take a phone call. And we're going to let that cook for a bit, and when I come back, then we'll look at adding more chicken broth, mushrooms. Oh, thyme. We'll add thyme. We'll add more chicken broth. At the end, we'll add the mushroom soup, and then we'll package it up, okay? My throat feels better already. So the fried onion and tons of garlic, 50 cloves of garlic, are frying away here. I'm gonna add the thyme that I picked in my garden. If you don't have fresh thyme, just use dried. Just use dried. Don't even think about it twice. Use dried. Having it grow in your garden is a luxury, or you can have it in a window box or a plant in your kitchen. But when I do these recipes, I kind of use herbs at an industrial scale. And to do that, you need like a fair amount of herbs in your garden. So there we go. Okay, the thyme is in, the garlic's in, the onions, and there's a bit of chicken broth. We're gonna let that simmer away. Doesn't look like soup. Like, it doesn't look like soup. It looks more like a secondary product that you would put into some other thing, Mexican food or whatever. But no, this is what is gonna make the soup. Just a ton of garlic, 50 cloves of garlic, and an onion, and some thyme. And when we come back, we might add more chicken broth, and we will add mushroom soup. So here we go. And maybe salt and pepper. I'll test it when I come back, and we'll see what we need for salt and pepper. But right now, it's just onions, garlic, thyme, and chicken broth. It will cure your cold. So the fried onion, the fried garlic, the thyme with a bitty bit of chicken broth is simmering away here in my cast iron Dutch oven. I am going to put in 1 can of Campbell's creamy mushroom soup, which will give it a bit of creaminess, a little bit, just make it feel a little bit less like you're just eating garlic. Okay. It smells amazing. Okay. So I'm going to let the cream of mushroom soup kind of melt into what is in there already. This is not your typical soup. It's not your typical texture. It's not your typical flavor. It is not typically something you would serve to guests. This is comfort food and healing food for when it seems as though you're getting a cold. I'm going to add, you know what, I'll just put the rest of this chicken broth in. Okay. That'll make it somewhat soupy. I'm going to let it cook for a little while longer. And you know what, I might put some more dried thyme in too. The thyme from my garden is all in there. I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit of dried thyme just to make sure that I have enough. Okay, that's actually quite a fair bit. Probably more than I needed, but okay. So we're going to let that cook. Now, one of the things that I'm always very careful to do before I shut down any cooking process and package things up for consumption is to make sure it tastes good. You don't want to make a whole bunch of stuff and then freeze it and thaw it and package it. What the heck, and it tastes horrible. So what I do is I use a tiny little dish, and I like to actually test it at a temperature that's comfortable to my mouth. If it's too hot, I can't test the flavors, and if it's too cold, I also can't test the flavors. So I'm going to adjust, let this cool for a second, and when I come back, I'll test it. I haven't added any salt or pepper here, so when I come back, I'm going to make sure that it tastes as garlicky as I want it to, as good as I want it to. I could add more garlic. If that's right, then I'll shut it down and store it. But if it needs to be adjusted, then I will adjust it. So we'll leave that there. And I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I'm going to call this more or less done. Everything is in there, fried, toasted, garlic, onion, thyme, chicken broth. I'm going to let it just simmer for a little bit longer. I'm going to have a bowl right now myself because I need a bowl for my throat. And then the rest of it I'm going to portion and put into the freezer to protect my throat all winter. So hopefully it will be good. I might even have some, I think I have some croutons over there. I'll put some cheesy croutons into the soup. There you go.
I'm so sick of reality TV. I'm so tired of my girlfriend ignoring me. I sure could use a little bit of